Hi, I'm Nathan, one of the co-founders of GitHits, and today I want to talk to you about one of the most expensive mistakes in engineering, picking the wrong tool. And usually you don't find out until you're knee-deep in integration. So today I want to show you how I use GitHits early in the research phase to see how tools really work under the hood, and how that helps me decide which one's the best fit before I write a single line of code. So I want to migrate my large React app to SvelteKit, and I'm trying to decide whether I want to use OpenClaw or Hermes for the job. And so I set some criteria around how I want to do this migration. So I want to make sure that the agent only has read access to the legacy repo, and then I want it to stand up an entirely new repo for the Svelte project. The next requirement is I want to make sure that I have verification steps. So we do this migration in batches, and at each step, I want to make sure that the code compiles, it runs tests, and then also I want it to actually test the UI in the browser to make sure that the behavior is maintained. And then in terms of setup, I'm running Copilot as our LLM provider, and I want to be running these in Daytona sandboxes because this is a long-running task, and I do not want this running on my laptop. And so what I have it do then is use GitHits and explore each of these repos and tell me which one's better fit for us. And what's cool about this is a lot of times when we're doing the research phase, we have access to the README and the documentation, and that's what we index our decision off of. But the really painful mistakes in integration usually happen not because a function doesn't exist or there's some missing functionality, but rather it doesn't behave as we were expecting it to. And so I already ran the session here because this took a little while to run, but we can see it starts to explore each of the projects, and it starts to do searches for each of the criteria. And GitHits is giving our agent the ability to navigate and explore these code bases without having ever cloned them anywhere. They're not on my machine. It's able to make these search calls in real time. Yeah, so then here we have this output at the end, which it said, given all these criteria, Hermes Agent is better suited. And it went through each of the criteria. And what's really great is it didn't just give us an answer, based off of a README, but we can see that it's actually citing real files here, actual definitions. We can see, even lines of code of where it pulled the context from. So it's making these claims based off the source of truth, and it's leaving a trail that we can actually verify to know that this wasn't hallucinated data, but this is actually how the tools function. So we can see here that Daytona, much more, it has native support for Hermes. And then when it comes to Copilot provider, both of them have Copilot support, slight hedge towards Hermes. It shows its reason why. Then the per step verification gates. And here is where we start to get the outliers of actually having access to the source of truth, Yep, so then we can see that it evaluated browser-based UI testing for both, went through the actual methods, the capabilities, the two repo read-write separation that I put there, long-running multi-stepped batched orchestration comparison, and then a quick overview of how it would wire up Hermes. And then, of course, a caveat worth flagging about OpenClaw's capabilities. So I really spend a lot of my time every week going through this flow, evaluating tools before I ever even clone them or test them out or run them. There's all these questions which I know ahead of time that are my requirements for the project. And so this is a way that I really quickly can evaluate different tools and have a much better shot on target versus the older approach of just testing things and waiting until you actually find the issues. Here we can suss out ahead of time what's going to work well, what's not.